All right, welcome everybody. This is the sixth Mandel weekly check-in. It is March the 16th. Welcome everybody. We'll continue as we do, going through the stuff we've got in progress. We've got some checking in to do on the Mandel code. We can check in on how we're doing on getting VPs registered on Jungle. I don't have much to share in terms of updates for the survey. I'm not sure if Randall's on the line. Maybe he's got some to share. There's some documentation there in progress. I can give a little bit of update on the Kylan faucet. Are there any other topics to discuss today?
Yes, I did get clarification and finality on which version we will have for now.
That's for the Mandel code, the 3.1.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. That's the first item on the agenda. So why don't we get right into it?
So Dan confirmed since last call that his team will be releasing what we'll call 3.0.5 or 3.05. Sorry. 3.05. And that essentially should be reviewed and merged either by the end of this week or early next week. And that's what no second dot. So just 3.05.
Okay.
That's what it's being called. We can adjust later on. What it does have, so if you look at your cell above, it does have the work for diffuse.
Okay.
And that apparently they'd found multiple issues that they fixed or that they have fixed. Now they're reviewing and will merge that were included in 2.1 and 2.2. So those will now be merged in 3.05. However, the block logs, whatever block split logs, as well as the list of issues that are still pending that are, if I believe, merged in 2.21.x or whatever on the block one repo. Basically, that whole list that Stan has compiled,
right?
That will not be in 3.05. And so when the engineers on our end start, that will be one of the first, if not the first thing that they'll tackle, will be finishing the merging of the block logs and those issues so that we then create 3.1. So we will be on 3.05 until the engineers on our end start, and then plus X period of time to finalize that.
Does that include
that one? Yeah, it's only what's merged right now.
And I think Kevin can confirm, does that include the latest, I'll call it EOS USA coma fix, that I think he figured out was not merged, at least what Kevin merged a couple of days ago. Like that day, he was like, yeah, no, that wasn't in the bug fix merge.
Fractally won't touch that. So I'm saying we will address that. We will make sure that those go in, but they won't be, as far as I can tell, they will not be in 3.05.
I'm not sure
Stan's team fractally will not touch that.
I don't know if it even made Stan's list. So
we've got plenty of time to adjust that. So basically, over the coming month or two, let's continue adding the issues within reason, of course, but especially if they're already in 2.1 or 2.2.x, whatever, then we can port them to 3.1. We'll have the time to be able to do so. So likely that will also impact the testnet strategy, where I would guess now the idea would be to go from 2.0, which I believe is currently running, to 3.0 to 3.05, or maybe even skip 3.05, but get depending on the amount of time, and then just go straight to 3.1. It'll depend.
Stan, can you collect this issue from Michael and add it into that list so we have a comprehensive list when the engineers start?
Yeah, I will check, but as far as I remember, Kevin was going to open an issue.
Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of color here. So there's two things here. So we might call it the nuclear option that's in 2.1, which is that it just sets a timer, basically, that if we don't see anything on a connection, it severs it and restarts it. So that's kind of, okay, let's just make sure no matter what, that, if you get in quote unquote coma, we get out of there. Now that was put in 2.1. Since that was put in, I believe I reproduced the exact issue that Michael was seeing and fixed it. And that, and I'd have to double check this, which I'll do personally. I believe that was actually merged yesterday or day before into a Mandel main, because it was fixed in 2.0x, which was just merged into to Mandel main. So those two parts of that, one of which I think that directly addresses the coma issue, I believe now is in Mandel main. I'll double check that. And then, I can create an issue to get the nuclear option, if you will, into into Mandel as well. So I'll make sure that.
Perfect. So it sounds like the fix is in relatively current. The nuclear option, which is the oh shit button, will come in eventually in there. And there's actually, I think, a third piece which tied to it, which was that unlinkable blocks, which is the re-request an earlier block range or something like that.
We did change all that as well. Yeah, let me make a note of that. Yeah, we should get that in there as well. There's lots of changes around that, enhancements that's in 2.1, 2.2, and develop, I think. So I'll make a note of that as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So these are all, if I understand,
forgot about
out of scope for 3.0 or 3.05, but they'll be included in the subsequent release. Is that right?
One of them, Kevin mentioned, has already been merged either yesterday or this morning, and so that would already be in because that comes from 2.0. Everything else would go as long as it's properly logged, then they would be able to be merged in 3.1.
Great.
Which does give us time. So again, those dates when the engineers start will be April 6th and April 11th. So by April 11th, we'll have all three. And then obviously give it a little bit of time, but that will be the first file on their place.
You said April 3 or April 23?
April 6th and April 11th. But just put April 11th. By April 11th.
Everyone will be on board by April 11th. Great. So that and their first priority will be the 3.1. That's going to be their first task.
In part, potentially 2 out of the 3.
Okay.
Still trying to figure that out.
And did I understand correctly that what's included in Dan's 3.05 is essentially just the diffuse stuff?
Yes, and that was already done. And essentially now it's being reviewed and merged, and which should happen either by the end of this week or early next week. And then once that's done, then Fractally team is done with their part. Sorry. If there are issues with the work that they've done, then Stan, for example, please keep reviewing. They will continue maintaining the work that they've done, but they will no longer add functionality into it or continue merging new functions. So it is still important that we continue testing the work that they've done. So I would suggest going to 3.05 on Jungle so that we can see what's in there, especially the diffuse component was rewritten.
I'm sure Matthew's going to be testing on the diffuse stuff as soon as it's available, I'm sure.
Awesome.
And so maybe we can talk about that next. Anything else to add on this topic before we can revisit the testing strategy? So what we have here is that upgrade B1 2.0 BPs to Mandel 3.0. So this is maybe going to be modified, or later development branch is so this actually still applies. This is something I was chatting with Matthew in the background that typically, especially on Jung, ones are just testing whatever is the latest, not necessarily the release candidate. So I think the idea here is it's 3.0 RC2 or newer, whatever is needed for your testing purposes.
So that'll be 3.05. So there's no more RC2 if you want.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not. They'll call it RC1, 3.05 RC1. There won't be an RC2, and there won't be a final for 3.05.
Could be. Why would you say that, Ted? Because if we do find issues, then I would imagine the Fractally team will need to do a new release candidate if there are significant issues.
Right. I just figured we'd be picking up from 3.05 and starting to drive to 3.1, so they'd have to be patching it on 2 branches, or they'd patch it in the 3.1.
That's why I'm mentioning the April 11th, is if we can test this prior to that, then at least if there are issues, by the time the new guys come in, we're maybe on RC2 or something, if there are any issues.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So this looks accurate now? Anyone disagree?
There's a dot missing between 0 and 5.
No, leave it as is. That's what Dan wrote. If it's different, then we can change it.
Because
he wrote it to me as this.
Major branch is 3.0 with 5 as minor release.
Is that what it looks like when you look in the repo?
I can't look. I'm from the phone now.
There's no branch, at least in the Mandel repo, there's no tag branches.
No, because they haven't done it yet. Yeah. We'll be able to confirm, let's say by next Wednesday, we'll be able to confirm if really the name is slightly different.
We can add a dot later if we need to, yeah. Okay. I haven't, Stan, have you registered on Jungle yet? And do we have anyone from EOS Costa Rica on the line?
Not yet. My sysadmin is in Warzone, a bit delayed.
Okay. No, I don't think there's any rush.
Can you? Sorry, Stan, go for it.
Is prepared, but that's coming.
Daniel, can you add to the list of VPs Argentina and reach out to Matias, please? And do you have Matias's handle?
Not hand.
The Telegram one is what you're looking for, or is it? Are you looking for the GitHub?
I'm putting GitHub ones here, but
his Telegram handle is Elmato, ELMATO. But let me double check.
ELMATO.
Yeah, let me double check to see if that's his GitHub as well.
For the record, I work with Costa Rica all the time. They are aware of what's going on. They were registered. I think they had some server issues and they're spinning it back up and getting going. And I'm relaying cliff notes of we're on 2.0.13 and then go into whatever version we decide to at the time. So I don't know whether they're on the call, and I know they aren't on Telegram as much, but I'll be happy to relay. Like I say, I talk to them all the time.
Great. Appreciate that. Yeah.
And Daniel, it is Elmato in GitHub.
In GitHub as well? Perfect.
Yep. If you can reach out, EVM is going to be deployed on testnet, likely on Jungle in the next 2 weeks. And so I know that he'll be registering. So it's a good timing.
Great. Thank you. We'll reach out. Okay. And so we're on track to get these other three going. Anyone else on the line here who's got a BP they can register on Jungle as well?
Do you want to also reach out to Asia? I guess Asia and Lao Mao both should, but if not already. Or I guess no, they're on Kylin.
They're on Kylin.
You can add. Yeah, so maybe not. Never mind.
Okay. We'll see.
That should be plenty anyways. That's more than what
I think
have
so
right now by far.
Okay. Anything to add on test? And I can give a quick update on Kylin. Lao Mao has committed to they're going to be re-enabling their faucet. I don't know the current status, whether that's happened yet or not, but I did receive a confirmation from their team that they're happy to re-enable that for us.
You, EOS Nation, seeing as you guys are coordinating a lot of this, and not just this time, but for the past 3 years or so, you guys able to get the keys to Kylin so that you guys can now be the faucet? You guys can now be the owners?
We could look into that to talk to the team. And
I guess with all the BPs we have, couldn't we change it?
Potentially. Denny's on the line. Denny, do you have any thoughts on that? Are you capable and willing to set up a faucet on Kylin?
I don't know exactly what you need to set up the faucet. Most of it is actually the URL, right? The website that points to the faucet that's broken. So if everybody goes to the website and the faucet is broken, then they will assume that the faucet is broken, right? Like on Kylin.
So what does it take to run a faucet though? If we wanted to be the ones to fix the faucet?
Well, first we have to fix the website that says that there's a faucet that's broken. That's the first part.
So there is a web page that people are familiar with going to. That's like the landing page where everyone expects to find the faucet, which currently is Lao Mao's page. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be the first one because that's where everybody would go by default.
Yeah, unless we build new habits, say, hey, there's a new page for the faucet and get people to start going there. And
we could probably do it on like Telegram or something. Have like a Telegram faucet Kylin bot or something. That might be the easiest.
Okay. We can let's check in offline, you and me, Denny, and I'll follow up again with Kylin on or with Lao Mao on what their status is. Maybe they're already almost done. So it might not be necessary. What else we got? Any progress to report, Stan, on any of the materials, either around the survey or the developer documentation?
Much. I only wrote this Mandel code review, but not much more after that.
So Mandel code review has been completed, is that right?
Yes, up to 3.0. So now we have 5 coming up.
Okay. Completed.
Did you find any issues so far? Any significant issues or critical issues so far, Sam?
No critical, but there are a few improvements. I opened the tickets on the GitHub. Improvement request.
That's the same as this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are issues, just to confirm, because the issues you opened were also issues from, not issues with that repo itself or with the code itself. It was issues from, hey, you didn't add this, but from the code that was written or the code that was merged, did you find any issues, and were those addressed or are those being addressed?
Yes. There's one issue that since I forgot what. basically there's a new feature that they added, but it's not complete. So there's some stuff to be improved.
And do you see that being addressed? And the reason why I'm asking is if we could ideally get all of that done and put into 3.05, let's say RC2 before early April.
It's low priority, so I don't think it's going to be addressed soon. I'll find it. But it's basically, at least it's documented that this needs to be done at some point. But it's not a critical one.
No showstoppers.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's less it's more so for the core developers that it'll be changing in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And if that can be addressed prior to that change, it would probably facilitate instead of having that being addressed afterwards, especially if it's relatively easy, then you get 3 weeks.
Anything else to add on that? All right. Platform support. I think we said we're going to give the person working on the documentation another couple of weeks. I'm not, unless he's ahead of schedule, Ted. I don't know if you have anything to report there.
No, he is actually on vacation until about May 6th, April 6th, sorry.
Okay, cool.
Don't get anything done until.
All right. Last week, we talked about the mono repo. I don't think there's probably anything to discuss today. We put out the call to action to the community. Anything anyone has to add on this topic? Perhaps you weren't able to attend last week and you have some feedback, some ideas on how we can get engagement from the community to participate in here. Okay, didn't think so. And those are really all the items that I had in mind to discuss today. Is there anything else? Okay, in that case, we'll give you all back the rest of the time and see you in a week. Thanks, everybody.
I have one quick thing. I just want to thank Stephen for his peer reviews. They've been very helpful. Appreciate his time there.
Thank you, Stephen.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen.
Any other shout outs?
Kevin as well.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Daniel.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.